With the live-action Beauty and the Beast out on video, I chose to read As Old as Time by Braswell. It's the third release in the Twisted Tales series. It's essentially a reimagining a lot of old Disney stories that we grew up with, and it changes a few items to make a new story. It was a very intriguing concept, so I thought Beauty and the Beast was the perfect foray into this realm because I loved the Disney movie and of course the live-action release for Beauty and the Beast. Before I get to the review though, be sure to like and subscribe to my social media pages to keep apprised of upcoming news such as this. On June 17th, the ebook for The Warbringer is actually going to go on a pretty massive sale, heading all the way into Independence Day. It'll be available for 99 cents on Amazon leading into the holiday. That's 75% off the regular price, so make sure you order your own copy, let your friends and family know, anyone that's into science and of course Greek mythology. In addition, I'm going to be giving away 2 of these Fiction Friday shirts to my followers. One will go to Facebook, the other will go to Twitter, so of course you can follow me on both, it doubles your chances. So of course share with your friends, give them a chance too. Don't be stingy. So how about we get to the fun part? Who's ready for a Fiction Friday review? Me? I'll take one. Yeah, let's do this. Everybody loves Disney movies such as Beauty and the Beast. If you don't, you might want to see a cardiologist because you're dead inside. There's nothing there. The music alone is fantastic, so a book like this, and it's also licensed by Disney, was pretty intriguing and something I wanted to kind of check out. The title and the artwork are great. I think it hints at what we know of the Disney movie, but also leaves enough to the imagination to wonder where the story could go since it is a different take. So here's the tagline of what it's about. What if Belle's mother was the one that cursed the beast? As Old as Time is the 3rd book in a young adult line that reimagines Disney works in new ways. When Belle touches the enchanted rose, a lot of memories start flooding into her. Memories of a mother that she knew she would never see again, and on top of that she sees that her mother is some beautiful enchantress that actually cursed the castle and all of its inhabitants. Belle and the Beast will have to unravel a mystery about their families that's 21 years in the making. So that's kind of the tagline of the entire book, or tag paragraph. The story spans 2 periods in the beginning. Part of the story is about Rosalind, Belle's mother, and of course the other is the beginning of the Beauty and the Beast story that we all know and love. Since we already know Belle's story, I was kind of fascinated with the whole story with Rosalind. It tells about how her mother is magic and is known as one of the Les Charmants, which is pretty much what they call every being who's touched by magic, so they're not quite like a normal human being. Whether they have magic abilities or not, something about them has magical qualities. So I was flying through the book all the way up until the mother actually cursed the prince and made him into the beast. But this is where the story took a giant left turn. It was a lot different than what I know from the classic Beauty and the Beast story. So to talk about that, I have to call this out as what it is. So yes, Belle goes to the castle looking for her father, surrenders herself as the Beast prisoner to let him go. All that is what you're used to. We already know this story, but what we don't know is that Belle's mother, Rosalind, her magic is somehow kind of like trapped in the castle and the castle grounds. Nobody has seen her since she cursed the Beast. And I can't not mention the fact that all the animated objects like Lumiere, Cogsworth, Mrs. Potts, they don't actually have any facial features or any of the things that you used to from the cartoon or the live action movie. It's more like just this bottle of water was just kind of moving along the table and talking, but it doesn't look any different. It doesn't have a face or a mouth. I mean, it might actually bend around and touch stuff, but that's about it. So it seemed odd that it didn't have faces anymore. I didn't really care for that, but I mean, it was a minor issue. Then there was the issue of plants coming up at night and talking to Belle, forming into faces that try to give her warnings about what's going on and be all cryptic. There was also some kind of a force that was kind of growing over the castle and the castle grounds from vines and trees and all kinds of weird stuff that was kind of coming in and blocking everything out to where they couldn't even get out of the castle grounds. They couldn't go to town. They could not leave. That's not to mention the fact that when Belle actually touched the rose, it disintegrated, and next thing you know, the animated objects or the people are slowly turning into just standard everyday household items. Like Mrs. Potts, she was losing her quote unquote humanity and just becoming a standard teapot to where she wasn't moving around, wasn't talking anything, just like all the other people were just turning into everyday objects. So instead of a walking, talking, singing candelabra, it was just a candelabra. It was a big stray away from the original story, which I thought was what I wanted when I kind of got intrigued by this book. But then I wasn't so sure at that point. I actually found myself fighting these changes and kind of saying, that's not the way it's supposed to be, even though this book clearly advertised itself as not what it's supposed to be when it comes to the original story. Now, I don't want to give everything away, but eventually the characters find themselves at an insane asylum in the middle of initiating a jailbreak. Not your typical Beauty and the Beast story. Needless to say, this is not the version you know. I mean, if you want a fresh take, this book is certainly something to check out. I actually finished the thing over a weekend, and it's a fairly thick book. Didn't take me too long, just a couple days. But if you are in love with the old story and don't really like people tweaking it, this may not be the book for you. It kind of tramples on your memories like Godzilla going through a major metropolis. It doesn't care at all what you think. And if I'm being truly honest, if it wasn't for the association with Beauty and the Beast, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as the little bit that I did. In the end, it's not a great book, but it's still not the worst book either. If you read it, just read it for your love of Beauty and the Beast. And I mean, that's kind of what I think about that. So, it says Old as Time by Liz Braswell. That's the cover right there. Like I said, not the worst book in the world, not the greatest, but if you love Beauty and the Beast and are okay with a slightly different story, it's worth checking out. But don't expect it to be, life-changing. But of course, stories like this aren't necessarily supposed to be that. So do you agree with my thoughts? Let me know in the comments exactly what you think about changes to the Beauty and the Beast story that you're used to. Are you okay with creative differences, or are some things just too sacred to be tampered with? Remember to watch out for the huge 75% off sale of the ebook of The Warbringer for the last 2 weeks of June, heading up into Independence Day. And of course, remember to like my social media pages for your chance at a free Fiction Friday t-shirt. And keep following, where my next review is going to actually be Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. So, as always, happy reading.